Hello, Coloritaville. We are going to explore more of my colored pencil hoard today. And today we're working with the Renoir Fine Art oil-based colored pencils. My husband bought me these for my birthday in the 100 set. Now, as you can see, for example, this one here, some of them I had some difficulty sharpening. Now, I don't know if it was the sharpener I was using, or if it was me, or if it was the pencils, but some of them are pretty small. But the color of these is absolutely wonderful. I'm going to go through the color swatch with you, and then we'll take a closer look at the pencils. And the color swatches, I had to look it up, and they do have the color names on a site that I found. So I've got, and I'll turn that off so that it's not reflecting on you. So I've got yellows and some flesh colors, some oranges and reds, pinks, into the burgundies and purples. And that is a terrible, terrible view. Okay, so there's a better view. Into the purples. And then into some of the blues. Now this area, of course, it was after I had stopped doing the threes. Instead, I only have the light and the dark. And as you can see, the darks do quite well. This was colored, oh, let's see, 6 months ago. So it hasn't completely broken. I have not, of course, blended these or anything like that. And with it being 100 set, covering all of the pencils on 2 sets of sheets was a little more difficult. So I ended up just doing a couple of little boxes at the bottom. So it goes down into the greens, and I do believe it is this one here that I have completely decimated. Or it could be, not sure. I'd have to take a look, but I have to get it out of there first. So it is number 61, this one, Brilliant Green, that I have completely shortened. I have to use a handheld pencil sharpener for this one because it won't fit in my crank sharpener. And I have looked, and I can't seem to find anywhere that they sell these individually, because there's that one and there's some other ones that are starting to get to a point where I'm going to have to need to replace them. Not a whole lot of them, but of course, you know, the ones that you use the most. And I think the picture I colored with these the last time was a floral picture. So a lot of the browns and greens are very, very short. But it goes from the greens into the browns. And there's more browns. And then it goes into the grays. And it does have, you know, the French gray, the warm gray, the cool gray. And then it goes into these really cool colors here, the dusty, the peach, cream, white, gold, and then silver. Now I have these arranged exactly the way they were in the tin. I have not gone through and rearranged them because they were pretty close to being just in their families. There's a couple of oddballs like the dusty rose and the blush and the cream, you know, that should be somewhere else, but not too many of them. But that is our Renoir. Like I said, they are an oil-based pencil. I'm going to pull out something that you should be able to see on camera here. There we go. And so they do not have a name on them. They do have a barcode on them with, of course, their number. They are numbered, and they are labeled with the Marco Renoir Fine Arts. They are a nice size pencil. They're a little bit thinner than, say, the Lyra or the Faber-Castell or the Holbein. For example, this is a Holbein, and you can see that that is way smaller. So they're not as thick as those. However, they are a very, very soft pencil. So when you sharpen them, make sure that you dust off just by rubbing it any excess that has come off when you sharpen it. They do sharpen to a lovely fine point. But as I said, that fine point, because they are an oil-based pencil, will last a little bit longer than a wax-based pencil. But it does dull down pretty quick. So absolutely, if you're going to sharpen them to a sharp point like I do, layer. Use very, very light touch. Do not use a heavy, heavy touch. Otherwise, you are going to end up with a stubby. And that may also be another one of my problems, is I do tend to use a heavier touch when I am coloring. So sometimes I need a really intense color in the area that I want it, and I don't want to sit there, and sometimes I get lazy is what it is. So that is our color swatches. Now we're going to take a look at the pencils. And as you already are aware, the one green is a very stubby green, and I've got a brown that's getting there. And of course, there's an aqua color here. Now I'm going to shut off the kitchen lights and see if that eliminates some of that glare. Alexa, turn off the kitchen lights.
Okay.
And that brought it down a little bit, but not a whole lot. And I'll have to turn them back on again so that I can color, but I might just turn on the little overhead lamp here. But they do have some really great colors in their greens and in their blues. So if I can change this around here for you. And then, so they've got some dark blues and a lot of light blues, some really good selection of pastel-y light blues, which is really good. And switch you around again. And of course, we've got our yellows up here next to our other skin tones here that I have in there. So I have organized all of my bags in alphabetical order. And before I had bought the large master set, I actually bought a set of master skin tones. And some of them are all right. I haven't used a lot of them, and I probably won't use a lot of them. But I will play with them a little bit. I didn't like the Masters pencils. I found that they were very non-pigmented and very waxy. So I probably will end up giving those away to somebody that needs a set of skin tones or something that has a better ability to work with them than I did. Or I might just play with them and leave them in there just to be pretty. Because they are a nice looking pencil. I wish they worked a lot better than I found they did. But we've got some yellows here. Quite a few really nice pastel-y yellows, as well as some darker yellows. And of course that goes into our skin tones, into our reds and oranges, into our pinks, and then into the purples and back into the blues. And then on this side, we've got our grays and browns, and of course, you know, our oddballs on the end here. But they are an oil-based pencil. They are not a wax-based pencil. So like I said, they are a little bit harder than, say, Prismacolors, but they are just as soft as Faber-Castells, a little bit softer than Lyra's, and that sort of thing. But they are a wonderful pencil, and we are going to color this picture here today to show you how well these work. Of course, this is a floral picture, so I will be using up some of those greens again, but I think I'll use a different green than the stubby. So we're going to name this one Marco Polo. And we will color this one today and show you how well these babies do. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to rearrange my desk here a little bit and switch you over to the close-up camera so that you can see what I'm doing a little bit better. Switch you over to that. And we'll turn that light on. And hopefully that'll be enough to show you what's going on. And of course, after I'm done, I'll switch you back over to the other camera and we'll talk about the difference between the Magic Fly, the Lyra, the Holbeins. You know, these are a higher quality than the Magic Flies. They are a lower quality than the Lyra and the Holbein and the Faber-Castells. Although I have read and I have watched some YouTube videos that say that for the light fastness, for the blendability, everything else like that, the Marcos are one of the best pencils for that. So we will have to see how that goes. Now we're going to color these little flowers in different pinks and purples. So I just need to get to that section here. So we need this one and this one. And then we need, and another thing that I did notice with this set, and I'll show you on the information here. I'm just going to switch it over just for a second. Okay, so the one thing that I did notice on this set is there is not a whole lot of really pale purples. You know, it's got the reddy purples into the violets, but there isn't really any very, very pastel colored purples in there at all. So we'll probably have to go with the violet and possibly a dark violet. We'll have to use those two and have them contrast against each other. And that's 56 and 57. Which was kind of a bit of a bummer because I really, really like having a very pale purple to work with. And that was just not available in there, so. All right, now we're going to turn that light back on so you can see what we're doing and so I can see what we're doing. So we've got two different colors here, of course, a purple and a pink. And of course, there's a dark pink, a light pink, a dark purple, and a lighter purple. Now I'm going to sharpen up those purples up a bit. The pinks seem to be pretty sharp, but the purples are a little bit dull. And of course, I'm using the wonderful hand cranked sharpener that Deb told me to buy. Deb and Donna. Donna actually found it for me. Deb told her about it. And that, of course, is the doll. And it is the doll 133. And it sharpens them very nicely. Very, very fine point, which is, of course, my favorite. So we're going to color this center one in the purple, and then the outside ones we'll do in the pinks. So I'm just going to go over these little petals. And I'm not going to press overly hard because, like I said, they are a softer pencil. So definitely use a lighter touch with them. Now, normally I use a Derwent blender pencil when I blend with oils, but I have this Lyra one that came with my Lyra set, and it is such a nice pencil to blend with. So I will probably blend with it. I like my Derwent blenders, but this one just seems to just move the color around without lifting any of it off, which is really cool. And of course, I put another set on my wish list. So there's 3 sets on my wish list now for Christmas. And I put this set on there because I really do want to try them. I have seen good things about them, but I haven't seen a lot of information about them. It's the Thorntons colored pencil set. It comes with 150 colored pencils in its own case. So I don't even have to buy a new case for those ones. However, if my husband does buy everything on my wish list, I will have to buy a new case because I have 2 other sets of pencils on my wish list that don't come with their own case. And then I'll have to resort all of my pencils because one of them is a D and one of them is a C. So I'll have to go through and I'll have to sort out all of those. Well, I guess I could just go from C to D. Put those 2 in their own case and go from C to D because I don't have a lot of Ds. So we're just going to do the dark areas here at the bottom. Leave that upper area in a lighter color, except for this one here, which will have a shadow from this other flower. And down here where there's a shadow from the other flower. And I'm probably got my hand in the way so you can't see a darn thing that I'm talking about. There. Now, of course, when you want things to be darker, just put a little tiny bit more pressure. Don't use a lot of pressure, and just layer that darker color on until you get to the color that you want it to be. With pencils such as the Marco Renoir, the Faber-Castells, I find the Faber-Castells you can be a little bit heavier handed with, but the new Shuttle Arts I got, the Lyra, even the Holbeins is with the softer pencils and the Prismas especially. I find that I have to be very careful on how hard I'm pressing because I will mash the heck out of that pencil. All right, so that is our purple. Now I'm going to take my little brush here just because I can see a couple of little spots, and I know if I drag my hand across that, it's going to end up being purple everywhere. All right, so these two on the outside here, I'm going to do both of those in pink. And then we'll do the leaves and the little vines. Of course, the little vines are a different plant than the flowers because the flowers have a different leaf. So we will be doing that in a different color. And then we've also got to do the yellows for the centers and that sort of thing. So we'll get at least 5 or 6 different color sets on here. And these are such tiny little pictures, and the reason why I chose them is because they are tiny little pictures. So that you're not stuck sitting here with me all day long coloring, because it can take me all day if I get fixated on something. And I know the weekend is coming up, so I hope you all join me on Saturday for our color along. It will be so much fun. We are going to do a Halloween picture out of Tatiana, her book, A Nice Little Town Halloween, which seems to be such a fun looking book. I did a flip through of it the other day, and it's just a fantastically fun little book. Now we're just going to take this dark pink, and we're just going to do our little dark area. And of course, with this flower petal here, we're going to do the whole thing dark because it's hidden. Now, of course, make sure that you look at your petals and make sure that you're putting in the shadows that are going to be there. Like this flower, this petal here is going over top of that petal, so it's going to definitely have a dark shadow or darker shadow on it. It's not horribly dark, but it is a shadow. And then we're going to do the same thing over here. Just let me know if I'm completely covering the picture so that you can't see anything, because how annoying would that be? You can get lots of views that way. Not that I worry too much about the views. I really actually enjoy doing the videos. So, if you guys don't watch them, at least I enjoy doing them. And it gives me a special way to go through all of my pencils and make sure that each and every one of them gets a bit of love. Okay, so that's some pretty pink there. So now we're going to have to grab some of these greens. Oh, actually, we need some yellow. So we need a nice sunny yellow, which I do believe would be this one. This one here, which is number 20, which is yellowish brown. I think number 19 might, no, light yellow pale. So I don't know why it says that, since it's a brighter yellow than the other ones. We will soon find out. And then we need a little bit of green and a little bit of blue. So a nice sharp point. And we're just going to color the centers here. See, that's not very light at all. I don't know why they call that pale. Oh, see what I mean? If you press too hard, you're going to break the tip off and make a mess. So make sure that you don't do what I just did and press too hard on these pencils, because they will break off like that and go a little bit crumbly, which is never a good thing. All right, now we're going to get into some greens. We need a light green and a dark green. So we're going to use these two, I think. So this one here, which is number 60, and this one here, which is number 59. They're nice contrasting dark to light. And we're going to sharpen them up, make sure they've got a nice good sharp. And of course, once again, we're going to make sure that we are light-handed with them, because I will break that sharp right off. So nice, good point. And see what I mean by wiping them off after you color with them? That dust will end up everywhere if you don't, and you don't want that, especially if you're just starting a page. And there we go. See what I mean? And that's just because they are a very, very soft pencil. So when you sharpen a soft pencil like that, and I do have the same thing with my Holbeins, as well as my Lyra, as well as my Faber-Castells. If you're sharpening a very soft pencil, you get a little bit of the core residue off the sharpener on the pencil. And it may just be this sharpener, but I have had it happen with other sharpeners as well as with handheld sharpeners too, but not as much with the handheld sharpeners. I think it's just the barrel sharpeners, such as this one, and electric sharpeners all have that barrel in it. So you get a residue on your pencil from sharpening the core, which isn't a big deal. You just have to recognize that it does happen and wipe it off so that it's not going to fall off on your picture. And now we've got those leaves all done up there. Now we're just going to take the dark, and we're just going to put some shadows. And I do find that the darker pencils seem to come apart a lot easier than the more pigmented pencils, or less pigmented pencils, I guess. I think maybe it doesn't have as much of the oil and wax in it to hold it all together as it does as the lighter pencils do. But these are available on Amazon. And like I said, I'm going to do a little bit more research as well and see if I can find someone that sells them in open stock, because they are a $60, $70 set of pencils. So they're not horribly expensive, but they're not horribly inexpensive either. You know, if you're paying almost $100 for a set of pencils, you want them to last a little while. You know, I know I've had these for 6 months, but I also have 28 sets of pencils, so I don't use them all the time. And I tend to use my special ones and expensive ones, or ones that are starting to get short, less and less, because I don't want to use them all up. And then there's some, like, for example, the diamond driven that I don't use at all because of the fact that they are no longer made and there's no way to replace them. So I use them very, very rarely. And they're a really good pencil. And when I bought them, they were such a great price. It really makes me sad that they stopped making those or putting those out because they are a pretty good pencil. You know, a lot of people said they were terrible, and I colored with them for almost a year and never had any problems with them. All right, so we've got the color down for the leaves. Now we're going to do the vines, and I want to do the vines in a bluey green color. So I think I'm going to go with this one here. It looks like a really dark green, almost a black green. I think that one's a little bit too dark. That one's just a little too dark. Let's try this one. Which one? What's this one? Number 69. Let's take a look. So that's not too bad. See, the one I was looking at was the Viridian, and I think that's just a little bit too dark. So I think peppermint will be the color that we'll do these vines in, because it's a little bit darker, but not horribly dark, because they're more of an ivy type vine leaf. And again, you know, just make sure that you're not pressing too hard. Excuse me. Oh dear. I do apologize. I'm going to mute you for a second here. I'm going to sneeze. Oh, sorry about that. I didn't want to sneeze in your ear. Happens every once in a while. I'll swallow the wrong way, and then suddenly I'll have to sneeze. Now I think I am going to grab that darker green and just give some definition to these little leaves. So I'm going to grab this one. Of course, we're going to give it a sharpen because it's dull. Get that sharp. Of course, you know, just be really, 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 really light-handed just to give it a little bit of definition so that you're not taking over the whole leaf with that darker color. Okay. Now we're going to take a bluish color, a light blue, which I'm going to use this one. It's a nice light blue. And we're going to put a little bit of a sky behind it. And then this one will be all done as well. And I did find with the Marcos that they do blend quite well into the Faber-Castells, because there are some colors that are lacking from the set, like I said, the light purpley colors and that sort of thing that you can find in the Fabers. So I have colored mixing the two, not very often and not very much, but I have used them for a supplement between the two. Hate it when I try to think of the pictures that I've colored with these and I can only see bits and pieces of them. I think it's because I've used them with other pencils, just so that I wouldn't deplete them too quickly, because they were, like I said, they were just coming apart on me with those other sharpeners. So this sharpener seems to be a lot better, so that I'm not completely ruining my pencils extremely quickly. All right. Now we're going to take that Lyra, that one's Prisma. We don't want the Prisma one, we want the Lyra. Okay, so we're going to take the Splendor pencil here. I'm going to wipe it off because I've got some smudge on it. And we're just going to blend that lighter purple into the dark purple. And try to get rid of that hard line that's there. And then we'll switch over to the other camera so you can see it a little bit better. The close-up camera, I don't know why, I think it's just because of the lighting, doesn't give you a very good indication of the true colors. And I may need to adjust it again. Sometimes, like we had the power go out the last time I filmed, just after the last time I filmed. So it may have reset the camera to its factory settings, and I may have to go through it again and reset it up so that I get the proper coloring. I didn't even think of that when the power went out. Now that I have thought about it, I'm sitting here going, well, that was silly of you. Okay, so now we're just going to blend these greens together and then we'll be all done. And then our happy little flowers and our happy little vines will continue to blossom and be beautiful. I know, silly, isn't it? Just going to get that a little bit of, get rid of some of the white spot because I did that extremely lightly. Did it just enough to put a bit of color on that area. All right, so I'm going to switch you over to the other camera here. There we go. And that is our Marco colored pencils. Now, it went down just as easily as the Lyra. They blended just as easily as the Lyra, the Fabers, the Holbeins. You know, all of them have their own attributes. The Holbeins have a lot more very soft colors. The Faber-Castells have a great selection of colors as well. The Lyras are so nice to color with. They blend beautifully together. Same with the magic flies. The magic flies also color so nicely and blend so well. The Fila's have a fantastic set of metallics, which is what I used quite a bit of on this picture. But all in all, so far throughout my pencils, and of course, I don't keep any pencils that I find are not not going to work for me. So of course I love every single set of my pencils, but of course different sets are usable for different applications. I have this printed on cardstock, on a 65-pound cardstock, so they're all going to work on here no matter what I do. However, if I was coloring in, say, a dollar store coloring book, I would definitely use the magic flies, the Fila's, because they're going to cut into that paper a little bit better because they're a little bit harder. The Holbeins, the Marcos, the Lyras, the Faber-Castells will color on that paper, absolutely. However, you're going to have to work a little bit harder to cover up that white spot. Or sometimes the paper is so smooth that you're not going to have enough ability to layer those colors up and get a good layering of those colors. So it all depends upon the paper, all depends upon what you're coloring. If you're coloring grayscale, sometimes the paper for grayscale as well as the ink can cause a problem with the heavier pencils, the ones that cut in a bit. So you want to use the Marcos, the Lyras, the Faber-Castells, the Holbeins, just to gradually build that color over top of that grayscale. Like I said, it all depends upon the paper. It all depends upon the artist. It all depends upon how heavy-handed you are. It depends upon whether or not you know how to lift your hand and not be so heavy-handed. It has taken me 2 years to start to learn how to do that. And I'm not very good at it at all. Sometimes I am unsure of how much pressure I'm putting on a pencil. And as you could tell while I was doing this picture, I will break them. I will get too heavy-handed with them and they will break. And then I'll have to sharpen them again and that sort of thing. The colors are vibrant. They are a beautifully pigmented pencil. And of course, they're oil-based, which is my favorite. So with that, I thank you so much for watching, and I really do hope that you will join us on Saturday for our color and chat. I'm not sure if I will be doing anything that is going to be instructional for you. I will explain how I'm coloring something, and if you want to see me color something a certain way so that you can learn it, I will definitely do that. Of course, leave some comments on my previous video if you want to learn anything in specific. We might even find a couple of ghosts that we can make transparent and teach you all how to do that. It all depends upon which picture we choose to use. With that, I thank you so much for watching. Of course, like, comment, and subscribe. Ring the bell. Make sure that you get the notifications of different videos that Donna and I have uploaded, or if we're going live or anything like that. As long as you hit that little bell, you should get a notification. If you want to join us over on our Facebook page, of course, there is a link to that page in the About section of the video. You just have to fill out the application form in full, and we'll be happy to have you over there with us. We color anything and everything. Of course, we do have different contests and different events. Right now, we're running a Halloween event. And of course, everybody that enters into the Halloween event will get their picture put up with others that have entered on our banner each week. So, and that's always exciting. And of course, it is such a huge honor for your picture to be up on our banner. It's we love everybody's pictures so much, and there's only so many that we can choose to hold on the banner. So I can't wait until we're able to put up everybody's. With that, I thank you so much again for watching. Have a great day. Have a wonderful weekend, and I hope to see you Saturday. Bye-bye for now.